good best one.
Alright, well guys, this is Rifka and I'm casting with Zeph. We're one round away from the quarterfinals. Here in this best of one on Whirlwind of all the maps. Spotting in the top left corner of the map, he's playing for FXO.NA, it is JimRising.
And his opponent spawning is the blue Terran vertically opposite. It is Quantic.Apocalypse.
I really like this guy, I admire him a lot. I've seen him plenty of times on Wings of Liberty, a couple times here in Heart of the Swarm, but definitely not a lot here for ZOTAC. Apoc is definitely one of those players who's got it in him to win it all. We'll have to see who, what, where, and how.
Yeah, I mean, if the last game is anything to measure by, JimRising is going to be no small opponent to try and beat here, especially on Whirlwind, which is widely considered to be a good Zerg map. But I guess we'll see what happens from Apocalypse as well. He could have some sneaky builds up his sleeve.
Well, you say sneaky builds, we have predictions here from chat. Verdi saying he thinks he's going to proxy Thor after watching Luciferon. Man, the proxy Thor has been around for a while, and there's so few people who can execute it. I'll tell you though, Apoc, I don't think he'll go for it on Whirlwind, but if he were to do it, he would be one of those players who could pull it off.
Yeah, that was sick. I watched that game. TBT it was. I wonder how well it works against Zerg. Actually, do you know what time it hits?
Not off the top of my head, because so few people do it.
Yeah,
We have actually, who is it back in the... Happy Zerg versus HTO Mario. That's a series of casts back when the beta was early, and that's someone... HTO Mario, by the way, for those who don't know, a very popular meching player. This guy, I mean, I don't think there's anybody who mechs more than he does. He does a lot of Thor drops in a lot of his games, and it's really cool to watch them, because he does it against all races, not just Terran.
huh. Well, I might have to check that out. You've got a pretty good memory to be able to stretch it back to a random game and just pick it out. Like,
I
oh
know.
yeah, this
I can
happened.
remember a game from like 5 months ago, but I can't remember who he just cast sometimes. You know, like I got that weird brain
All
thing.
right, isn't that the way? It happens to me all the time. Or you're casting the same players and you're like, oh well, last game we saw you
Exactly.
completely what
That
we saw.
one Zerg guy from earlier today.
Yeah.
But no, JimRising, as we just saw, granted it was a Protoss match we just cast with him, his macro is just immaculate. I couldn't give him better compliments on the way he handled that game. Granted, he kind of snowballed off of pulling ahead with that third base, but either way, regardless of what he's playing against, whether it's mech, whether it's bio, I'm pretty confident he will not fail in the macro department. So a lot of this is going to come down to shutting down whatever Apocalypse throws at him. The early CC like this could still be mech, but most likely will be a 3cc Rax build, as that tends to be the kind of go-to thing for Terran. Something that was once called greedy, now I believe is kind of standard.
Yeah, I definitely call it standard at this point, and the Overlord will just peek at the top of the ramp and see what's going on there. So you could take perhaps an earlier third. Some Zergs likes to go for a third hatch straight away, but you can just kind of get saturated on minerals on both your bases and then go for that. And I'm wondering if he's going to try and play a similar style to what we saw in the game against the Protoss, where he's constantly trying to deny that third base. Because again, on this map, the third base is a little bit awkward to defend. But with Widow Mines and Siege Tanks on the Terran side, that becomes a fair bit easier.
It's also very difficult to shut down a Terran base like you can with a Protoss or a Zerg, because of course they can just build that CC at home, build up a stupid amount of SCVs, and then secure it much later on. Whereas a Protoss player, you know, you're kind of stuck building a Nexus on
Yeah,
location, and fingers crossed that you can hold it.
that's exactly it. And this SCV will
We'll,
make it home today.
thanking these Marines, we'll probably have them over for dinner later tonight. In fact, we'll repay them with...
Probably.
He's going to repay them with a wall off.
Yep, and JimRising just getting on his gas, pumping drones like a madman, as all Zergs should. 10 more drones coming down, Lair on the way as well. And I think it's very likely that we'll see a muta game. Not many Zergs are really daring to leave out the mutas in TZ as of late, because it's so important to deal with the drops later on in the game.
Yeah, it always bothers me though watching, because there's some players out there, like for example Nurchio, you and I cast him recently, where you can get a little ballsy with those mutas if you go for the harass and suddenly find them trapped by Marines and turrets, and you'll lose all of them. What do you have to shut down those drops? Absolutely nothing. You can just start losing the game from that point on. So I feel the best way to utilize mutalisks, don't be too offensive with them. Obviously, if you can get in there, pick off free SCVs, do it, but you gotta be safe.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you on that, because mutas have a use for the rest of the game as soon as you get them. I mean, even the late game, they're so helpful to get rid of the medevacs, because of course, the army just gets stronger and stronger as it gets smaller and smaller. So oftentimes we see even Zergs, while they're winning the ground army fight, they're just not quite able to take the rest out because the reinforcements have so many medevacs behind them, like ridiculous amounts of medevacs, like 15 and stuff. So you definitely don't want to get to that point as a Zerg.
Well, I like that Apoc here is doing a bit of denial here with these Hellions. He's not going to be able to do too much because speed's about to pop out, but oh, will he actually be able to pick off this transfer of drones? That's only 2 of them, not the biggest deal in the world.
But it's string kills nonetheless, so whatever he can get is great. He's already denied a bit of the creep, which is super important, especially when he wants to push out later on because JimRising doesn't have that far really to creep up, I guess you could say, to his natural.
JimRising, okay, he's gonna go for that. We can see very clearly he's going for that Ling Bang muted composition.
Yeah.
I feel so many. It's a good response if your opponent's going heavy bio. Oh my god, such a big roast of Zerglings in the middle of the map right now. I mean, we do have bio coming out of Apocalypse, but Widowmine placement makes this very difficult to pull off. Banelings getting exploded before they can even connect are the worst feeling in the world for a Zerg player.
Oh, nice. Gets it clean here, and he's going to be a little bit annoying for a little bit longer, but 9 mutas are now on the way, and they will eventually shut down the Hellions, but not before they get some of the creep cleared up. That's really great moves from Apocalypse.
Gets all of the creep tumors cleaned up. That was amazingly well done.
Yeah, that's actually a huge setback to the Zerg. Now he has to start over and start moving his creep out again. But it's really nice how Apocalypse is keeping on top of that because it's actually taken the more aggressive third in this case. So he really wants to make sure that the Zerg will stay off his back.
Oh, well, these mules are actually going to pass up the chance to pick off a free command center. There we go. I'll get you a dictate for a second. I'm just going to type in chat real quick.
Yeah, for sure. We've got these. Ooh, he might actually get that. There's not that many Marines out. In fact, I think there's only enough Marines at the base so that he could engage those with the mutas. But in the meantime, the Hellions have entered the third base, trying to get some drone kills, but the Lings will clean most of them up. 3 survive, however, and there's still more drones being rallied over there. And it looks like the command center does survive. It's being repaired. Got very low there, but just in the nick of time, it reached the base, where many Marines and Widowmines awaited those poor mutas, so they did have to hightail it out of there.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Just trying to respond there in chat to help Mr. Racklaw out. But yeah, JimRising's got a lot of utilists, and the best part is he's retaining a lot of these. So many times you see players, they go for their ass, whether it's a free command center sitting at the third like that, or whether it's a clump of Marines. Either way, you'll see utilists tend to get picked off, but... Ooh, speaking of getting picked off, nice Widowmine hit.
Yeah, really nice job, but it only really softened them up, and with that regen, they should be able to recover quite quickly.
Oh, if you can get this engineering bay. Marines are stimming in. I don't think he realizes how close that is to finishing. If he could have finished that off, that would have been huge. SCV's rushing to repair it. Apoc knowing how important that upgrade is.
Yeah, that's such a tough spot at the Zerg. You want that upgrade killed so badly, but you can't quite risk it. And he did take the safer option. He gets out of there having lost only a couple of meters. And actually, what does he have on the ground?
Oh,
because the push is gonna start soon.
It's always so tense. Like it's, you know, Blizzard. Good and bad things about adding Widowmines into the game. There's so many more tense moments. Like, you remember it used to only be nukes where players would be like, oh my god, will it hit?
Yeah.
Now it's with Widowmines, it's like, oh my god, will it cause devastating damage or not?
He's actually getting quite a nice mutable up here. It looks like he's going to continue to commit.
I am
to
a little
that
worried though.
cloud.
His unit composition that he currently has, if it goes to a 200-200 fight, he doesn't really have a force that's going to take on a lot of Marines and Widowmines very effectively.
Well, yeah, true. It all comes down to the engage, though. He hasn't got... Okay, I take that back. I was going to say he hasn't got many Widowmines out, but he has 9 on the field. So if he brings all of those, it's going to be quite difficult for the Zerg to engage. But if he leaves some behind to defend, all he has to do is bait a few shots and be really patient, and then he can get in a really good engagement.
Apoc, though, I mean, he's setting up some really nice defense around the map, but he's continuing to be very active with these Hellions. I love that choice, because while he's not causing a lot of damage, no, he's not picking off 40 drones with them. It's all about scouting information, and Mutalisks are going to come down here, pick off a lot of SCVs, but be chased off.
Yep, and he jumps 3 turrets straight away there. He knows that number of meters isn't going to be deterred by just 1 or 2, and he's having to keep his bio army there as well. It's actually getting...
This was such a
quite
bold
low.
base
Where
to
is
take for his
medevacs?
third. I'm a little shocked
Yeah.
this was his choice, but if he can pull this off, he's gonna have a much safer base later on once it gets to that late game, starvation period.
Wow, all this bio out and he only has one medevac so far. He has to be really, really careful with his stims because he's getting another two now, but that's still a lot of bio to have to heal up, especially if he stims a second time.
Well, he will hold his base. Some Zerglings will get choked into these mineral lines, unfortunately. Where are those Mutalisks? Nowhere to be found. Everything's out of place as APOC capitalizes on the open natural with nothing here to defend. Widowmine's being placed down behind him. These Zerglings cannot flood in. Slow and steady is JimRising trying to bait them out. He does a nice job. One Widowmine still stands, though. It'll get a lot of these Banelings off. Oh, but they're not ranged. Never mind. What is happening? Oh, but the return.
That was so sick.
Actually, a really bad Widowmine hit goes off. This fourth base, though, will fall. And APOC, oh, he did a lot more damage than I think he should have.
Yeah, he did a ton of damage. I mean, JimRising, for whatever reason, just kind of abandoned that fourth base. And that's something he can't afford to give up. He's on even bases with the Terran. Not only that, but he lost his Evo chambers, and the Terran is moving towards 2-2. It's almost finished, in fact. And meanwhile, if you look at the Zerg upgrades,
No upgrades.
he's on 0-0.
And it's disgusting. Like, 2-2 versus 0-0. We're going to see these Zerglings melt. We're going to see the Banelings pop before they can even connect to the army. Forget Widowmines. The Marines will be more than enough to deal with this.
Yeah, this is going to be a real uphill battle for JimRising from here, and he hasn't even taken that much economical damage. The evens on workers killed at 11 apiece, but it's all going to be about this mutable. If he can buy enough time for himself to get into a better position with that mutable, just constantly threaten, duck in and out of the Terran base, he might be able to do this, but 3-3 is already coming down, and he hasn't even started his
four
upgrades
fully loaded dropships. APOC, not even trying to dodge the Overlord, will just unload here in the main. And luckily,
and
though,
are across the map.
yeah, and luckily for JimRising, though, not a lot of his important tech is up here. Only really the lair. Everything else is placed in the natural, aside from this infestation pit. Oh, and these Widowmines are going to zone out all of the Banelings that swarm in to defend.
Decent spread on the Widowmines too. Can he clean this up efficiently? He might take some huge hits. He needs to
Oh,
be
there's
careful
so
with that
many
mutable.
Mutalisks. Widowmine has gone up very nicely.
And he does manage to juke most of it. Can he clean this up with the mutas alone? It looks like he can. He will exchange quite a few mutas.
Oh yeah, 5 plus
return.
dying.
And in the meantime, we actually have something going on in the main. A few links. Wow.
Yeah, managed to run by the army some way, somehow. Don't know how that was possible. Drop here at the fourth. Once again, will shut this down. JimRising needs this gas if he wants to continue upgrades and keep up this crazy Mutalisk production.
Apocalypse with these drops, so insane. It will get cleaned up, but that hatchery is very, very low.
And this is going to get to that point too, where as soon as Apocalypse, I mean, he's been having so many Widowmines, so many Marines, it's a concentrated part of his army. If he adds a Thor or two into this, suddenly these Mutalisks are a big, big danger. Or rather, in big, big danger. English, right?
Yeah, Widowmines and Thor is definitely not the friend of Mutas, so we'll see if he adds a couple of those in just a moment. And Apocalypse is just in such a good position. He's poised to take a fourth base very shortly. He's moving that over there right now.
Ooh, Medevac will be picked off. Nicely done by those patrolling roaming Mutalisks.
Yeah, that's what he needs to do. I mean, there's 36 of them, so he needs to make sure he's as active as possible on the map with those, and there's really going to save him a lot of headaches from the drops if he can keep on top of those.
I'm very worried for APOC. I feel like the fact that he didn't end the game with that push when he got, right into the natural, undetected, that was his biggest opportunity for damage. And while he is playing this slow and steady, and he's not going to lose by any means in doing so, he's kind of playing from a bit behind. He's not able to take out these Mutalisks. His drops are now starting to be shut down back to back. He's pushing up once again, but look at this. The Zerglings coming from behind, the Mutalisks coming from the left. I mean, this is death for these Marines that are not even on top of the Widowmines.
Oh, huge hit on the Mutalisk, but not quite enough to finish it off.
Oh,
oh my god.
My god, all these Mutalisks are so low. 10 health remaining. One Widowmine hit would get like 15 kills right now.
And at the same time, yet another drop
Base
going up
picked
for
off.
Apocalypse. That was actually really nice timing. That was a 3-3 timing from the Terran, and at the same time always dropping and attacking.
Now
So he's managed to take out that base for God knows how many times now.
That is really smart, really cool what just happened. JimRising retreating his Mutalisks. It kind of looked like he would just swarm over the Marines, but the fact that all his Mutalisks are so low, he would have lost a good 7 of them before doing so. But he does have to be careful. These Widowmines are still here, Zeph, and I fear for these really low health Mutalisks. They are regenerating very quickly, though. I must say, that new regen ability is sick.
Yeah. He needs to get some overseas here. Okay, there they are, and try and clean that up because the next push is coming along. 3-3 Marines versus 1-1 Ground Army. 2-2 only just starting now for Jim Rising. These pushes are going to get increasingly more difficult to hold off. So the Muta's just going to counterattack into the third base.
These
Will they be able
turrets.
to get some damage done?
The turrets can't even do a damn thing. 3 orbitals in such heavy danger, actually. Oh, but the Marines will chase us off. Zergling's gonna try and chase down. Oh, these Widoweyes are gonna do so much damage to these banelings.
But he does once again manage to clear that up. Widowmine goes off, takes a fifth. Wow, a huge chunk of the Ground Army out. In fact,
Drop at the fourth once again. I can't believe this fourth base.
Yeah, he's just relentless. He's had a supply lead for quite a while as well. And Zerg is just not able to max out. He was trying to sit on the lair tech and gain a really good position that way, but it hasn't worked out. He's had to go up to Hive, but he doesn't have the economy or the stability to really move towards that tier 3 tech. He's constantly having to deal with these drops, constantly having to deal with the Ground Army, and it's just not working out for him.
Yeah, and the fourth base falls, third base completely evacuated. It will die to another drop, and you bet your ass Apocalypse will come in to finish that one day. Or not one day, in a moment or two. What am I trying? StarCraft games take longer than a day. Alterric Valley, World of Warcraft, right? Blizzard references all over the place, but I just can't get over how Jim Rising's had this Mutalisk Ball. He should... I don't know, I almost wish he would split 5 of them off and have them patrol around defensively and use the rest to fly around offensively like he's been doing. Because these medevacs, these drops, 4 Marines have shut down this base. And there's no reason 4 Marines should shut down an entire base.
Yeah, those Marines have definitely earned their pay at this point.
Wow, not even cancelled.
And here we go, finally getting a bit of damage done, but at this point it's not really going to matter all that much. I mean, we saw earlier how many orbitals he has. He can just drop mules in the meantime and replace those SCVs if he wants. I mean, at this stage he's happy with the bigger army. He doesn't really care about replacing those units.
Well, here comes that big push once again into the natural. It will catch these evolution chambers just before they finish if he focuses them. If he can deny that 2-2 upgrades, that's going to be pretty much it. This will seal the deal. Jim Rising is going to have no way to fight this army head on.
Oh, can't get it.
No, it completes in time, just barely.
Ooh.
And Banelings clean up that entire army. And once again, we have both players kind of leveling the playing field. Just
very small. Yeah, sigh of relief for Jim Rising there. Able to get those upgrades. Now he can start 3-3, but the problem is that those Evo chambers are very vulnerable still. So perhaps another drop or something could still shut that down. At the very least, though, he has adrenal glands. But still 40 supply down on Apocalypse.
Oh my god, these Beatles have 4 health remaining. Have that one at GG. It's just like, forget it.
Ouch.
What a damn good game. I saw chat cheering for it. I didn't want to say it in games, but guys, I was just like, make a spine crawler, make a spore crawler, just one. It's ridiculous.
Ugh.